Army post. This is the classic large-scale Army installation. A fort or a post is a massive self-contained city that serves as a home base for tens of thousands of soldiers and their families. Its primary purpose is to be a power projection platform, a place to house, train, and equip combat units like brigades and divisions, and deploy them for war. While historically, a fort was a fortified defensive position, today the terms are largely interchangeable. A prime example is Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the 82nd Airborne Division. Marine Corps. Similar to an Army post, a Marine Corps base is a large installation designed to house, train, and support Marine Corps ground forces. The term camp is often used interchangeably. Many major Marine Corps bases are coastal to support amphibious operations, but the Marine Corps also operates large inland installations and training centers with vast live fire ranges. The two most famous are Camp Pendleton in California and Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. MCAS. An MCAS is an air base specifically for the Marine Corps' own powerful air arm. It is the home base for the fighter jets, transport aircraft, and helicopters that support the Marine ground forces as part of their combined arms doctrine. These air stations house the squadrons, maintenance crews, and runways needed to keep Marine aviation ready to deploy. A famous example is MCAS Miramar in San Diego, the former home of the Navy's Top Gun school. Naval Station. A naval station is a home port for the fleet. Its primary feature is a massive, protected harbor with numerous piers where warships, from destroyers and cruisers to massive aircraft carriers, can dock for resupply, maintenance, and crew rest. A naval station is the support hub for the surface fleet, providing everything from fuel and ammunition to housing and training for the sailors. Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia is the largest naval base in the world. NAS. A naval air station is a land-based airfield for the Navy's aviation assets. This is where naval aviators are based and trained when they are not deployed on an aircraft carrier. And NAS is home to the fighter jet squadrons, maritime patrol aircraft, and helicopters that operate both from shore and from the fleet. NAS Oceana in Virginia is the Navy's master jet base for its East Coast Strike Fighter squadrons. Naval Submarine. This is a highly secure, specialized port designed exclusively for nuclear-powered submarines. A submarine base has unique facilities, including specially protected piers that provide power and services to the submarines, dry docks for complex maintenance, and high-security weapons handling areas for loading torpedoes and ballistic missiles. Naval Submarine Base, Kings Bay in Georgia, is the home port for the Atlantic Fleet's ballistic missile submarines. AFB. An Air Force base is the home of America's air power. Its central feature is a large, strategic runway, along with the hangars, maintenance facilities, and command centers needed to operate complex military aircraft. Each AFB typically has a specific mission, such as housing strategic bombers, training fighter pilots, or serving as a major hub for cargo and transport aircraft. Edwards Air Force Base in California is famous as the Air Force's premier flight test center. SFB. A Space Force base is a specialized installation focused on the space domain. Most of these were formerly Air Force bases that were renamed when the Space Force was created. Rather than focusing on flying operations, Space Force bases center on space missions like satellite command and control, space surveillance, tracking, and missile warning, and some also support launch range infrastructure. Their mission is not aviation, but space launch, missile warning, and satellite operations. Vandenberg Space Force Base in California is a primary launch site. Coast Guard facilities. The U.S. Coast Guard operates a unique mix of facilities tailored to its diverse missions. A Coast Guard station is the most common, a small installation on the coast, or a river that houses the boats and crews for local search and rescue and law enforcement. A sector command is a larger regional headquarters. A Coast Guard air station is a small airfield for its helicopters and rescue planes. A larger Coast Guard base serves as a major support hub and home port for its large cutters. Joint base. A joint base is a modern concept where two or more formerly separate military installations, often from different branches, have been merged into a single base to increase efficiency. They are run by a single host branch, but house units from multiple services. For example, a single joint base might have an Army Stryker Brigade and an Air Force Airlift Wing operating side by side. Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington is a classic example, combining the Army's Fort Lewis and the Air Force's McChord AFB. National Guard. These are the local, hometown footprints of the military. A National Guard Armory, or Readiness Center, or an Army Reserve Center, is typically a small, local facility that serves as the administrative and training headquarters for a part-time unit. This is where citizen soldiers report for their drill weekends to conduct training, maintain their equipment, and prepare for their dual mission of supporting both state and federal emergencies. Training installation. This type of base has one single purpose: to forge civilians into soldiers, sailors, airmen, or Marines. These are the schoolhouse bases. They include the major basic training posts, like Fort Jackson for the Army, where recruits learn the fundamentals. They also include the advanced service schools, like Fort Huachuca for Army Intelligence, or Fort Sill for artillery, where service members go to learn their specific military occupational specialty. Military Medical Center. A military medical center is a major full-service hospital that serves as the pinnacle of the military healthcare system. These are not small clinics. They are large, state-of-the-art medical facilities that provide specialized care, conduct advanced medical research, and serve as major specialty care and rehabilitation hubs for wounded service members evacuated from combat zones. Walter Reed National Military Medical Center is the most famous example. Proving Ground. This is a vast, often remote military reservation dedicated to the research, development, and testing of new weapons and equipment. A proving ground is a scientific facility where new technologies, from artillery shells to armored vehicles, are put through punishing, real-world tests to ensure they are safe and effective before being sent to troops. The U.S. Army's Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland is a major example. Arsenal. These are not combat bases. They are the industrial and logistical heart of the Army. An arsenal is a facility that designs, manufactures, and tests weapons and munitions. The Rock Island Arsenal, for example, has produced military equipment for the U.S. since the Civil War. A depot, on the other hand, is a massive storage and maintenance facility. It is where tanks, helicopters, and other equipment are stored, repaired, and overhauled to be sent back to the force. Naval Shipyard. A naval shipyard is a massive, heavy industrial facility owned by the government, and its sole purpose is the deep maintenance, overhaul, and modernization of the fleet's most complex warships. This is where nuclear-powered submarines and aircraft carriers undergo deep depot-level maintenance and modernization. Nimitz-class carrier refueling complex overhauls are performed at Newport News Shipbuilding. These are not home ports for crews, but massive industrial sites that keep the existing fleet powerful and relevant. The Norfolk Naval Shipyard is a prime example. Weapons Station. This is a highly secure and often remote military installation dedicated to the storage and handling of ordnance. A naval weapons station is where missiles, torpedoes, and bombs are stored and loaded onto warships. An Army ammunition depot or plant is a vast facility where millions of rounds of ammunition, from bullets to artillery shells, are manufactured and stored. Security at these sites is extreme, as they house the military's explosive firepower. Logistics. This is a strategically located facility designed to store vast quantities of military equipment for rapid deployment. An Army preposition stock, or APS site, is a massive climate-controlled warehouse filled with tanks, artillery, and supplies. The equipment is kept in a high state of readiness so that in a crisis, soldiers can be flown to the site, draw the equipment, and be ready to fight in days instead of the weeks it would take to ship it from the U.S. Remote sensor. This is a small, often uncrewed or minimally staffed, and highly technical military site. Its purpose is to host a specific piece of critical technology. This can include a missile warning radar station in the high Arctic, a communications relay site on a remote mountaintop, or an underground launch facility for an intercontinental ballistic missile. These sites are the distant eyes, ears, and sentinels of the armed forces. Intelligence facility. This is a modern type of military base that has no runways, tank ranges, or firing ranges. Its weapon system is the computer and the satellite dish. These are secure facilities that house major intelligence and cyber warfare commands. They are often staffed by thousands of analysts and operators who conduct signals intelligence, cyber operations, and data analysis. Fort Meade in Maryland, the headquarters of the National Security Agency, is the most famous example of this type of base. FOB/COP. This is a general term for the range of bases established in an active combat zone. A large, well-established base with significant amenities is a forward operating base, or FOB. A smaller, more Spartan, and often more dangerous outpost in a contested area is a combat outpost, or COP. At the smallest scale, a patrol base is a temporary, non-fortified position occupied for only a short time. These bases are the lily pads from which military operations are projected in a war zone. Thanks for watching. Did I miss any base type you think deserves to be included? Let me know in the comments. Also, please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.